right. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says he does think his relationship with the U.S. can be repaired, and he remains ready to sign the minerals deal. He's still adamant, though, about having security guarantees, saying any ceasefire without those is dangerous for Ukraine. Zelenskyy adds, we've been fighting for 3 years, and Ukrainian people need to know that America is on our side. But several Trump administration officials say a reset is necessary before talks can resume again. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says they must figure out if a peace deal is even possible before talking about providing security guarantees. Officials say the spat on Friday has thrown that sequencing off.
President Zelenskyy has different aims in mind. He has said that he wants to end this war, but he will only accept an end, apparently, that leads to what he views as Ukraine's victory, even if it comes at an incredibly high cost.
Coming to the Oval Office, with the body language, the shaking of head, the kind of the arms crossed, we found it incredibly disrespectful.
I saw Zelenskyy rather stiff-necked in the Oval Office instead of being gracious and saying thank you and looking for a way out of this mess.
Democratic lawmakers also took the rounds on the Sunday morning show, slamming the White House, accusing it of siding with Russia.
It is absolutely shameful what is happening right now. The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin.
I saw the meeting as a despicable display of bullying by the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States.
They just got so hot-headed, the President and the Vice President, that what happened happened. It's the chaos of this presidency.
Tomorrow, President Trump will address Congress. Senior advisor Jason Miller says the president is expected to talk about domestic issues like bringing energy prices down. Miller says the president will also talk about wanting to bring peace around the world. So we'll see if the issue of Ukraine comes up.
Doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
That is great. Just throw him in the lake. See you later, buddy. Freaking great, man. This is what I voted for. Is it what you voted for? Yes, this is what we voted for, and we're getting all of it. What did you think America First was? Vibes? White papers? Op-eds in the Wall Street Journal? No, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a great day. Monday, March 3rd, 2025. Trump considers halting all aid to Ukraine, which we are 100% in favor of. We've gone too deep on this, ladies and gentlemen. I don't consider myself a big foreign policy guy, but this is directly connected to the America First ethos, right? Like, why should we ever put a single dollar into the greedy, grubby, greasy hands of a Ukrainian oligarch when a single veteran goes hungry in this country? What about you? What about a mom driving her kids to school and she hits a pothole? I find that to be a bigger problem than some war spat that's being fought, that's been going on for 5,000 years in 5,000 miles away from my home. But we're going to cover all of it today on the program. Donald Trump kicking Zelensky's ungrateful, greasy ass out of the White House like the rat bastard he is. Man, it's great. Now Zelenskyy says he's ready to dance for daddy. Well, you missed your shot. Better buck up, buckaroo, as they say where I'm from. AOC going to jail? Yo, what's going on? AOC is literally writing the Department of Homeland Security saying, am I going to jail? Because AOC is leaking and helping criminal aliens escape justice. And Tom Homan says, that's very naughty. We'll ask AOC about this when we see her tomorrow. We'll be at the U.S. Capitol, and we'll give you more details on that in just a moment. Senator Rick Scott will be joining the program along with Hogan Gidley. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. It is the golden era. We're going to see it firsthand tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be very, very exciting. I would like for you to listen for just one quick moment. You got to understand that as markets spike and then crash, and as there's a big roller coaster going on right now, there is some real value to be found in precious metals. There's going to be I think that the Trump economy is going to be unbelievable, but I think that that's going to help gold, quite frankly. I diversify in gold. My homies at Advantage Gold can help you out. They are the ones who have notified me that this is a good investment, and guess what? We're up 40% over the last 2 years, up 1,000% since the last housing crash of 2008. Is the economy going to crash? I sure as hell hope not. But I can tell you this, like the way that Joe Biden ran the economy, it's been run on the brink of the cliff, okay? And so we're trying to pull it back. Ladies and gentlemen, be smart. Invest now. They got a free gold investment guide that can help you do exactly this. Protect your precious earnings. Text Benny to 85545. Get a free gold investment guide. Plus, when you act now, you can qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's real value. Can't ignore. Text Benny to 85545. Don't miss this opportunity. Secure your piece of American prosperity. Data and message rates apply. Performance may vary. Always consult your tax professional, okay? Always consult the tax professional. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very, very excited to announce something to you live right now on the program. Popping this up. Look at that. That's our first graphic. We're going to fix the graphic a little bit, but this is good enough. Tomorrow, Speaker Johnson has said, dear son of mine, because I'm his son. You know, I think he's got like 12 sons, all right? I'm an adopted son of his. I'm not. There's actually no relation, I don't think. I don't think. I haven't actually checked. But Speaker Johnson has invited our show to stream live from his office. He says, come on down and hang out for the State of the Union. So we are heading to Washington, D.C. once more. Will Donald Trump jump on the stream? Well, he will literally be like within arm's reach of us. So maybe Trump will walk right by us. It'll be freaking awesome. Tomorrow night, we're going to have so many incredible Americans on our stream. From right inside of the U.S. Capitol, nobody will be streaming closer or with more access to the action than our program. We're going to have a little nonstop buffet of based, and it'll be happening right inside of Speaker Johnson's office. Huge guests have been booked. Maybe some of the people on this graphic. We'll see. We'll see, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump will be giving his State of the Union address tomorrow. It's technically called a joint address to Congress. Shut up. Who cares? Stop being a nerd, all right? It's just Donald Trump going absolutely balls to the wall. And he said it this morning in a Truth Social. I'm sorry to put producers on the spot. Can we grab that? Donald Trump on Truth Social saying, I'm going in big tomorrow night. We're going to rock it. Get ready. Going to have both houses of Congress there, Senate and the House. It's going to be freaking awesome. Donald Trump saying this. What does he say? Tomorrow night will be big. I will tell it like it is. And guess what? We'll be streaming live inside of the Speaker's office, and we'll have so many special guests. So please lock in and prepare. It's going to be really fun. Okay, let's start off with just a couple of fun little items here, just quick pieces of news, just that crashed my social feed this morning. New Jersey is about to flip red. You got to understand that how doomed Democrats are. First off, Tim Walz this morning says he's planning on running for president in 2028. Tim Walz is running. Hello. Very excited. Yes, so Tim Walz is going to be literally spraying glitter all over the stage and doing his happy, dumbass dancing jazz hands all over the place. It's going to win over white men, I'm telling you. It's going to win over white men. So Tim Walz is running in 2028. How exciting is that? Tim Walz, ladies and gentlemen, don't got a shot. And I don't care if they bring back FDR, right? Wheelchair, wheel him in, looking like just like Joe Biden. Like it doesn't, I don't care who they bring back. You ain't going to win. Listen, the way that this works is that Florida and Texas and southern states that are deep red, like Tennessee, for instance, is going to pick up 2 congressional seats. Florida's going to pick up 5. Texas is going to pick up like 9. New York's losing seats. California's losing seats. The epicenter of left-wing thought and culture is collapsing. Did you notice the Oscars last night? Do you notice these? I didn't watch. Okay, I didn't watch the Oscars, but the social team's watching the Oscars. Poor Jack on our team. Poor Jack has to watch the Oscars. We really apologize to poor Jack. We're sorry, son, that you had to watch the Oscars, but he is the youngest man on staff, and so unfortunately, he's just going to get trolled. He's going to get hazed, right? Dude, there was just nothing going on. Everybody was on their best behavior. Did you notice that? Like, this is what happens when we win culturally. Everyone, they've stayed on their best behavior last night. Not that many, like, not the cringy political speeches, like they've been boxed about the ear. There was like a little bit of this stuff, but like for the way that Oscars goes, it's total snooze fest. We've won in culture, and now we know that we're winning when it comes to the popular vote, which of course is right here behind me, but also here. The electoral map is so devastating for Democrats. First off, Pennsylvania is going the way of Florida. Florida used to be a squishy purple state where you could barely win by a whisker. George W. Bush, right? The year 2000. Barely wins by just a whisker. Ding! Okay? Whatever. Now it's like freaking Maga land down here. Monster trucks. Like the polling places are just like I went to go vote here. There were like 50 people wearing MAGA hats in what was once considered a blue city in Tampa. Now Hillsborough County, where I live, boom, flipped red. Every county flipping red in the state of Florida. That's going to happen in Pennsylvania. And then New Jersey. Look at these numbers. Sorry, I'm like too excited this morning. New Jersey. Secretary of State conducted a purge. 50,000 Democrat votes lost in this purge. Republican voters, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Democrats, that's 50,000 in the aggregate. 87,000 voters lost for Democrats. Only 37,000 voters lost. This is through attrition and through moving and things like that. The 2021 gubernatorial election in New Jersey, which New Jersey is up for another governor's race here this year, was decided by only 84,000 votes. The Republican, who didn't get a single penny from Ronna McRomney, nearly won. Some dude who nobody had ever heard of nearly beat the creepy-ass Governor Phil Murphy in New Jersey. New Jersey could flip red. Pennsylvania flip red. Michigan flip red. Wisconsin flips red. Dude, you're running out of paths for Democrats to win nationally. Donald Trump won the popular vote. This is freaking great. It's just a ton of awesome energy. And the energy is just kicking total ass. I want to begin by establishing two or three things. One, why are all these states going red? Why are they going so hard red? Well, because young people, actually. It's wild. Trump's approval rating by age. It's actually plus 65 that doesn't actually think that Donald Trump's doing that great of a job, right? Only 45% approval rating for people 65 because we like Ukraine. Donald Trump up a point with like Gen X, okay? But it's actually 18 to 39-year-olds, which is my age demographic, the demographic of everybody who works at this company, that is Trump up 60%. This generation wants a country and a future. Their parents aren't concerned, mainly because when you reach this age, you kind of just want the status quo to plod along. Like you realize that kind of your moment to effectuate any change or like build a country is sort of over. And so you just want everything to stay the same. Okay, this is just human nature. This is just how it works. But young people love what they are seeing with Donald Trump. The kids are all right, says Charlie Kirk. Speaking of behaving like a very young person, young at heart, Secretary Pete Hegseth this weekend freaking bodied Hillary Clinton just into the sun. Hillary Clinton posting fake news, getting community noted, saying, wouldn't want to hurt Putin's feelings. Hillary Clinton's husband endorsed Vladimir Putin in 1998. Just a reminder of that. Hillary's family sold all of the uranium in America to Russia, something called the Uranium One deal. So the only reason why Russia can sustain its nuclear arsenal is because of Hillary Clinton. Why'd they do that? That doesn't seem smart. Well, because they got a ton of money off it. Because they got paid. That's what the Clinton Foundation is all about. You really want to get out of the heart of darkness in our country? Investigate the Clinton Foundation. Open up that investigation. Let's freaking go. Will it even exist anymore without USAID? We'll see. But Pete Hegseth goes and freaking bodies Hillary Clinton. And this is going to, of course, all blend into Ukraine. Because it is the foreign policy of Barack Obama, CIA regime change that they literally all bragged about at the time, that is the reason why Ukraine is such a freaking dumpster fire. What Donald Trump is doing by ending the war in Ukraine is ending an era of the stupidest foreign policy in American history. It was dark days. It was malevolent days. It was days where America was trying to play God around the world. Let's bring democracy to Iraq. How'd that work out? How'd Afghanistan work out? It didn't work out better for me. It doesn't work out better for you. The only people who suffer are you and me and the American tax cattle. We're the only ones who actually bite the bullet on these things. Your potholes don't get filled. Your children's schools suffer. The new playground doesn't get built. Your life gets substantially worse. Everything that you need gets inflated. The things that your children eat every morning. The cost of living for us gets excruciating, and we're carved up piece by piece by a global elite that hate this country and hate the people living here. And the Ukraine war is one of their signature operations. The war is antithetical to everything that they say they believe in, democracy. It was staged by a complete coup by blundering imbeciles. Hillary Clinton, ladies and gentlemen, is ratioed by Pete Hegseth with this photo. Now, do you know what's going on in this photo? It's from a long time ago, right? So it's from nearly 20 years ago. 2008 was when this photo was taken. 2009. Right after Hillary Clinton was sworn in as Secretary of State, she immediately bolts to Geneva to go meet with Sergei Lavrov. That is the Russian foreign minister. It's the longest serving foreign minister in the whole world, actually. Big time. This guy, really, is Russia personified, right? And Hillary Clinton pulls out a red button, which, of course, between the two great nuclear powers is a little, a kind of a dark thing to do. That the iconography there doesn't work out, but whatever. We'll look past that. I mean, this lady did Benghazi, right? So obviously this is just, I don't know, is it a scare tactic? I mean, it is Hillary, right? Maybe she could have whipped out a noose, really scared the guy. So we're going to lock you up in the federal prison in New York. We'll see what happens at 1 a.m. No, she whips out a red button and she brags about how her staff, the geniuses inside of the Obama State Department, the staff spent all day and night toiling away, trying to get the right Russian word for reset. What happened next is SNL level comedy. It's like a comedy sketch. This is why this is such a great troll of Hillary Clinton, and why Pete Hegseth posted this and ratioed Hillary Clinton. Look at the numbers there on screen. Go.
Sergey, in anticipation of this important meeting and our time here together, I wanted to present you with a little gift which represents what President Obama and Vice President Biden and I have been saying. And that is, we want to reset our relationship. And
let's do it together.
So we will do it together, okay?
Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. We worked hard to get the right Russian word. Do you think we got it?
You get it wrong.
I got it wrong.
It should be перезагрузка. And this says перегрузка, which means overcharge.
Well, we won't let you do that to us. I promise.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So you couldn't get the damn name right? All the money at the State Department, and these absolute demons couldn't get the name right? Look at Hillary laughing there. Oh, this means overcharged. You didn't get the name right. Hey, look at that laugh. That's the laugh. That means you're going to die tonight. Somebody is going to die. Somebody died that night. Somebody got a proper hill dog. Okay? The sound of the 1-inch heel click-clacking down your hotel hallway in Geneva, right? And like the sound of a rope being tightened. And then Hillary's cackle. Spell the name. You tried to spell a Russian word, didn't you? What difference at this point does it make? Yep. See ya. This is the end. This is the end. That was the end for that poor staffer. Sayonara! Somebody dredged the bottom of Lake Geneva. Okay, what's the point? The point of all this is that it is these idiots that started the war in Ukraine. Obama's foreign policy, meddling, overthrowing democratically elected governance in Ukraine, and they were cheersing about it. They were you created a vassal state. You created a state that was completely and totally, and this was the 2014 Maidan Revolution, you created a state that was totally dependent on America. Ukraine isn't real. It's a country that completely and totally depends on the United States of America and foreign aid to exist. Without it, it collapses. Because of these jackasses. They're so dumb. They're so cringy. Their worldview is effectively that they're God, that like they are the gods of the earth, and that every other country doesn't have a history, doesn't have a people, doesn't have a language, doesn't have a religion, must bow to them. And they don't believe in Pax Americana. They believe in they are disgusted by the American people. They're repulsed by us. They're not proud to be American. They want a globalist sludge, a gray matter, an oligarchy that runs everything. And they behave that way. And the wanton murder and destruction, you guys know my take on this. This is why I don't really talk about it, because it's pretty plain and simple. I want them all to stop dying. I want everybody to stop dying. I don't want war. War always means that people my age or like my children will eventually get conscripted to go die in some war in America. War for the United States of America has over the past 150 years, effectively, since the Civil War, meant that we send our best and our brightest to go die in some pit somewhere for somebody else's country. And F that. And I'm done with that. I don't want that. Not for your kids, not for my kids. And there are smart ways to project power so that, like, we just don't have to do that. And the first thing you got to do is de-escalate. You got to turn the pressure down. You got to stop everyone from dying. Peace deals are great. An ugly peace is better than a hot war. And let's just take a quick look at what war actually means. In American history and throughout all histories, the propagandists try and say that war is between devils and angels, when the reality is that war is often just between two different devils. And that's just what it is. I was on Piers Morgan's show on Friday, and he just freaking bodied Piers Morgan because Zelenskyy is a dictator. He's a little rat bastard who's completely, totally a vassal state of America. He doesn't even, dude, that guy, I'm not sure he even like breathed another breath if America stops protecting him. No gratitude, no graciousness for our people. A complete and utter slave to American dictates and American foreign policy. And he comes masquerading into the White House like he's some kind of hero, like clearly high on his own supply. But literally, maybe he found what Hunter Biden left in the White House. We're not sure. There were little baggies everywhere. Maybe Hunter told him, knock on this door right here, about 3 feet down. That's where I had my stash. Maybe that's why Zelenskyy kept touching his nose during the meeting. I don't know. But here's what I do know. He's a dictator. Zelenskyy canceled elections. He banned Christian churches. He jailed American journalists and then had them killed. He's somebody who forcibly conscripts innocent men and women, fathers, and old men off the street to go die in some pit. He's the demonic bastard. I mean, this guy he wants the murder of his own people. There's something truly evil going on here. It's like a literal genocide. This guy's like wantonly destroying the entire flower of youth in his country. And for what exactly? What's going to happen next? The war is effectively like at a total and complete stalemate. What's he going to do? He's out this morning saying, no, we're like, peace is very far off. This guy's evil. He knows that as long as the war continues, he doesn't have to hold an election. That's what he wants. So this guy, kind of like the same attitude you get, and so I just want to set this all up. It's the final thing I'll say. I know I'm not some big foreign policy buff, but it really does get to the heart of like America first. And the only reason we're in this mess is because of these meddling, globalist scumbags. And they're just so, they're dumb, like the Hillary Clinton image. They're dumb. They're just the stupidest people. And they bungle us into these things. And then good Americans die, like what happened in Afghanistan. 13 dead Americans. Have you seen their faces? They're burned into the back of my brain. Joe Biden literally looks at his watch as their coffins get rolled out in the dignified transfer because he don't care. He's just like Zelenskyy. They don't care. It's demonic, man. Final thing. Zelenskyy canceled elections based on some little note that says in the Constitution that you don't have to have elections if it's martial law in Ukraine. They have martial law in Ukraine, right? Don't ask all the like women at the clubs there doing drugs, right? Getting blackout like at the European house clubs. Videos all over the internet about this. Everybody living large off the American tax slave, right? Us tax cattle over here. You have to pay $7 a dozen for eggs so that Ukrainians can do drugs in clubs. Anyway, what's the point? Zelenskyy knows that the moment that the war ends, that not only will he probably go to jail, you have to understand, like, the nature of the dictator here. He knows that he will probably be, like, strung up by the Ukrainian people. I mean that metaphorically. He'll lose an election, a landslide. Everyone hates this guy. They hate him in Ukraine. He's not loved by his people. And he's probably implicated in huge crimes. And we'll get to that in just a second. Tucker Carlson exposing that. And so this guy comes to the White House, is apparently being advised by the old Obama people. Allegedly, that's what's had going on. And he goes and he acts like a complete piece of garbage, like a spoiled child. We're going to play you a little bit here, and then we're going to get into sort of like the breakdown of exactly what happens next here for Zelenskyy. Because it's really bad. They're doing everything they can to foment World War III. They want World War III. World War III would be very bad for Donald Trump. It would obviously scuttle a lot that's going on. They need the war to continue because the war is just effectively money laundering. And so Zelenskyy went to the White House not for peace, but to try and embarrass Donald Trump. And that's when Daddy came home. This is what we voted for. We voted for a man who's done hood brawls. We voted for a man that has gone up against some of the most evil forces in all of New York and Manhattan. We voted for a man who behaves like an American. And what America is a great country full of great people. Our people make us great. And the fact that we have seen our leaders get down on their knees and grovel to lesser powers and lesser people over my entire lifetime under some auspices of like diplomacy, that's over. It is over. And it ended in this triumphant moment from the White House on Friday. Here we go.
What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean. and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and very
telling you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about
it. From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting?
Yes!
No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone.
In this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion. We gave you military equipment, and your men are brave, but they had to use our military. If you didn't have our military equipment, if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
maybe
new.
Less.
In 2 weeks. Of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I want this. Look. If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you what
that wasn't with me.
means.
That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards. It's going to be a tough deal to make, because the attitudes have to change.
Oh, man. Oh, frickin'. Okay, if your heart doesn't swell with pride in America after watching that, these are the kind of negotiations that always happen behind closed doors. The most beautiful part about Donald Trump, and I can tell you this from experience because I've had the privilege of having dinner with the guy. He's close. Our executive producer, ALX, was at the White House last week. We're locked in, okay? We've seen enough of this guy, right? It's awesome. It's always been a privilege. It's incredible. He's the same guy. He doesn't lie to you. He's not lying. He's going to tell you the truth. And how great was it that Trump sits back and lets J.D. Vance go to work? This was incredible. Look at how proud Trump is. The action between the two of them. So much respect. The memes. The memes. This one, ladies and gentlemen. Perfect, yes. That's, anybody with a toddler knows. This was the vibe. This was the vibe during the entire meeting. You know it. Yeah. There's a good AI of his little legs going like this when he has a pacifier in. You're cooked. Listen, if you see Donald Trump use this hand gesture to you, I don't know if you're a Sopranos fan. This is an old Italian hand gesture. This is from like thousands of years ago. That was used by priests to get demons out. This was an old hand gesture that was used by exorcists to exorcise the demons. You can see it used regularly in the Sopranos series if you're a fan of that. And you see Donald Trump going straight at Zelenskyy, saying, why do you want the death of your entire country? You have no cards. By the way, speaking of hand gestures towards Zelenskyy, you know, knife hand? You ever heard of knife hand? Any Marines in the audience? If you're a Marine, shout yourself out so that the chat can give you tons of love. Are you a Marine? Are you a service member watching? We know we got a ton of them, and you're always emailing, and you give me so much good information, and I thank you, and God love you. God bless you. We are so thankful for you. But if you're a Marine, you know knife hand. If you're a Marine, you know, do it with me. You know knife hand, okay? If you see the knife hand from J.D. Vance, your country's foreign aid is going to zero. You're done. J.D. Vance, if you see that, this is, and I love this whoever this photographer is, give him the Pulitzer. You see Zelensky's ear there? This is the direct Zelenskyy perspective, okay? Ping. This is like what Zelenskyy sees. If you see this in the White House from the Marine, J.D. Vance, you're cooked. You're done. Go home. And they did go home. Oh, man. They did go home, but not before one more meme. One more. Come on, show him the cards, Klein.
Right now, not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
Donald Trump Donald Trump's holding on to his one reverse card. You're right, to his super reverse card. That's it. And Zelensky's sitting there with what, like 7? No, man, you're done. Uno. Donald Trump's at Uno. They have no cards. And the reason why he wants to continue the war is that he wants to stay president. He's a dictator. So's Vladimir Putin. They're both dictators, okay? It's all right to say, like, both of them do these things. Jailing journalists, canceling fraudulent election, whatever, right? It's okay. Like, you can say it, but it doesn't make, like, just because Vladimir Putin, you have disagreements with him, doesn't make Zelenskyy right. Can we be adults here and, like, establish that this guy is strutting around, like, completely coke-fueled out of his freaking noggin? Notice how many times he sniffs during the meeting? There's like a mashup of how many times he's like sitting there sniffing. He's like freaking watching Hunter Biden on the 4th of July. And this guy comes into the White House to disrespect Trump. Now, what does this show you? It shows you that this was what he was doing. He was behaving like this to every single senator, all these cucks, all these weak, limp dick politicians coming over and getting propagandized by this guy and bullied by them because he's an actor. He's an actor with some very, very evil masters. There it is. He's an actor with some very evil masters, and they trained him, and they give him the fairy dust powder to go in and to do this in the Oval Office. How dare you? How dare you come in here? And Trump kicked his ass out. Now, this is something we didn't know when we covered this on Friday because it hadn't happened yet. They all locked in. Trump locked in with his team and said, "You're gone," and then kicked his ass out of the White House. Didn't even give him an escort out. Normally, Trump, walks you to the door, gives you the old McDonald's drive-through window goodbye, right? Nope. Check it out.
Really pretty incredible. We see the SUV,
hang on with us
Zelensky's
SUV.
SUV.
If you look to your left, you're going to see him. Let's
got
watch.
walked out by the secretary. The secretary.
Can you tell us what happened?
Total humiliation. Total humiliation. Dude, I got completely destroyed. And then Trump ate his lunch. According to reports, there was a lunch that was prepared for them, and then they were going to do a joint press conference. We were going to cover all of it. Trump cancels the joint press conference, kicks him out. Trump doesn't even talk to him anymore. Trump leaves. Mike Walls goes and kicks him out and then says, you're done here, right? Leave. Rubio and Walls, Mike Walls, friend of the show, both Rubio and Walls have been on the program, just walk on over and say, get the F out. And we're going to have the secretary walk you out. And then apparently, Trump ate their lunch. But actually physically, had the lunch brought into the Oval Office and everybody dined on it. Everyone, had a feast on Ukraine's lunch. And now, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is discussing halting all U.S. military aid to Ukraine. Ooh, man, this one's got to sting. President Trump is expected to discuss halting U.S. military aid to Ukraine with key advisors on Monday, according to reports. The discussion followed the unprecedented Oval Office spat between Trump and Volodymyr Zelenskyy, which quickly devolved into a shouting match. J.D. Vance got involved. Later that day, Trump administration official argued that all U.S. aid to Ukraine, including ammunition and equipment authorized that had already been agreed upon and paid for by the Biden administration, should be canceled. The flow of weapons and munitions had already slowed to a trickle since Trump took office, and his administration now announces there's not going to be any more shipments. Now, Trump administration officials said that Trump might stop all military aid, which includes intelligence sharing and training for Ukrainian troops. F around and find out. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't disrespect our president. Is that it? Okay. Donald Trump up on Truth literally seconds ago. About Zelenskyy. Here we go. This was just posted, my producer tells me, 30 seconds ago. This is the worst statement. Okay, let's look at what Trump's talking about. Ukraine's Zelenskyy says the end of the war is very, very far away. We talked about this at the top of the show. Okay, let's read what Trump has to say about it. This is the worst statement that could have been made by Zelenskyy, and America will not put up with it much longer. I was saying this guy doesn't want peace as long as America's backing, and Europe, in the meeting we had with Zelenskyy, stated flatly that they cannot do the job without the U.S. Probably not a great statement to have been made in terms of a show of strength against Russia. What are they thinking? They aren't thinking. They ain't thinking. Oh, and in case you're wondering if the American people are on the side of President Trump or not on this, whew, baby. Oh, man. Get ready. Of all places, CNN freaking cooking Zelenskyy. Do you understand the timeline we're living in? Watch CNN cook Zelenskyy and say the American people back Trump. Go.
What a difference from just 3 years ago. I can remember, John, all those backyards in the United States with those Ukrainian flags. Far fewer of them today, as Americans' opinions on Ukraine have changed dramatically.
What about opinions of the Ukrainian president?
Right. Obviously, if you would expect changes amongst the public on feelings towards Ukraine, feelings towards Zelenskyy have changed also dramatically. Look at this. Confident Zelenskyy will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. Back in 2022, it was the clear majority, 72% through the floor. Through the floor by 2024, just 48% of Americans say that they're confident that Zelenskyy will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. And GOP confidence has also plummeted dramatically. Now the clear majority of Republicans are not confident that Zelenskyy will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. Really a real trend line, ones you rarely see in the American public when it comes to Ukraine and Zelenskyy. Confidence in both going down through the grate.
Down through the floor. So let's go ahead and check in on one more little piece of polling, just what individual Americans have to say for themselves. The hood backing Trump, a phenomenon, of course, that we've covered extensively as we head into predominantly black neighborhoods in America. It is shocking to find out how popular Donald Trump is. It's not shocking if you're paying attention. That's why we do it. We seem to be the only show that regularly goes into Fulton County, some of those dangerous areas in all of America, asking black Americans what they think of Trump. And let me tell you a little something. That is a total phenomenon. And we have hours of footage to prove this, don't we, Klein? That Trump's more popular there than he is at NASCAR race. It's crazy, man. it really makes you wonder, like, what happens in these areas that make them vote blue, right? I don't think they actually do, but that's another topic for another time. Let's go ahead and listen. What does the hood have to say about Trump after watching the Zelenskyy back and forth?
You see the way Trump talks to Zelenskyy? That's what we've been missing. That's what I voted for. Okay. That's what I've been looking for. Yeah. Somebody talking with their chin. Who you talking to? This is America. You better be humble when you walk up in here, making demands. Who you think you talking to? This big Trump and big Vance. And I like how Vance stepped right in. Trump sat back like a G. Trump came in, no, I got this, big homie. Hey, bro, you need to check yourself. We're doing you a favor. The United States does not need Ukraine. We can sit back and let Russia destroy y'all.
True.
So you better come with some humility, bro.
True. That's right. And all these European powers, you ever been to Europe? Those people look so down on us. Dude, Europe wouldn't exist without America. I mean, and you're talking about stuff, I'm litigating stuff that happened like in 1918, 1914. I'm talking like First World War stuff. Like, Europe as it is constituted right now doesn't exist. Languages and entire peoples destroyed. Who knows what would happen without American interventionism? So, like, how about a little gratitude? How about saying thank you? How about this? If Europe wants Americans to facilitate their wars, fight their battles for them, and spend our precious treasure, including lives and money, on your own stupidity, how about you explain to us how that makes our country any better? Can you? How about you put that forth? I'd be very interested to figure out, like, exactly how does that fix anything for us? No, man. This is what America First looks like. And in case you're wondering what Zelenskyy actually wants, this is an older clip, but this is when Zelenskyy was at sort of the height of his propaganda power. Zelenskyy straight up says, yo, I'm going to have Americans come over here and die for Ukraine. And I'll note one little thing here. You're going to see a lot of libs, a lot of like brain dead libs. A lot of brain dead libs coming into your, like there's a dude in my neighborhood that just rehung a Ukrainian flag. Okay? Oh, man. Dude, how cucked can you possibly be? This dude hangs the Ukrainian flag up in my neighborhood. And I'm telling you, these guys, all of them, and I'm going to start saying this to people's faces. In fact, this would make a great man on the street, Klein. I should go and enlist people for the Ukrainian army. Why don't I just go get some enlistment papers? Ukraine passed a conscription law that says Americans, anybody with American citizenship, can sign right the hell up for the Ukrainian armed services. All of these people, mewling and bitching and bootlicking about Zelenskyy, all of them can go sign up for the Ukrainian military. You go die over there. You love it so much, you love it more than your own country. We'll prove that in just a second. You go die. And this is exactly what Zelenskyy wants. Here's a clip of Zelenskyy saying, yeah, it's Americans, sons and daughters, that are going to come over to Ukraine and die. That's what I actually want. I want to kill your children. Understand how evil this man is. Watch.
The U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending their sons and daughters to war. And they will have to fight because it's NATO that we're talking about, and they will be dying.
This is the thing that scares the hell out of me, okay? So Zelenskyy goes immediately and then goes grovels to the Brits. The Brits are totally broke. Europe's completely broke. Europe spends more money on Russian natural gas than they do on funding the war in Ukraine. They spent like $18 billion on the war in Ukraine. They spent 3 times that on buying gas from Russia last year. These people are complete and total frauds. They view it as just a way to bleed their American tax slave cattle dry. They hate us. They hate our country. They disrespect you. Go to Europe. They'll disrespect you. They'll spit on you. They think you're a slob. We're the only reason that your modern day Europe exists. And they will disrespect you. They'll be so rude to you. They'll be so ungrateful. They'll behave just like Zelenskyy to you. And this is the thing that scares me the very most. So Zelenskyy went immediately to go to his butt buddies, right, at NATO. And they all cozied up. They took a little photo, right? And they gave him like a couple extra bucks, right? Groveling little prostitute, this man. And they took a photo together, and I looked at this photo, and it's of all the NATO leaders. And I'm like, wait a second, something really scary is happening here. And I just want to like establish this for the show, like what we cannot have. Right now in NATO, there's something called Article 5, right? Agreement that is a specific rule in the NATO handbook that says that an attack on one is an attack on all, and that if you attack, like if a country's in NATO and if they get attacked, then all of the other countries are going to back them up. And hot damn, does it worry me that what they're going to do now is they're going to like. Ukraine's going to do everything they possibly can. Assassinations, dirty bombs. They've already done that, right? Do everything they possibly can to try and get Russia to, or one of the Russian satellite states in Eastern Europe to try and like hit a NATO country. And then that would pull America into war. It'd be a very bad thing for Donald Trump and his administration. So this is where Zelenskyy went. So Zelenskyy went after being humiliated at the White House, still wearing his tracksuit. Freaking met the King of England wearing a tracksuit. He runs over there to try to like meet with these guys. And I'm like, wait a second. There's a way that they could actually backdoor this. If they were able to do enough terrorism that like Russia lashes out and attacks a NATO country, Ukraine's not in NATO, but they want to be in NATO, attacks a NATO country, then they could force us into the war, right? Or at least force the Trump administration something horrible. So like that's the thing you cannot have. This is what the Trump administration cannot have. That does accomplish Zelensky's dreams then of slaughtering your sons and daughters for his country. Just keep that in mind. This is probably where they're so desperate now. This is probably where they're going to go next. It's been very interesting to see, actually, who loves this country and who doesn't. If your heart didn't swell with Donald Trump kicking Zelenskyy out of the Oval Office, I don't know what to do for you. You're like not an American. You're not an American that I would recognize. This entire operation is a massive money laundering scheme. And it's like been made very, very clear to the Trump administration. I just want to ping this really quickly, what Cash and what RFK believe on this. This is and Elon Musk has been going on and on and on about this all weekend on X. Elon Musk, yes, it is a money laundering operation. Yes, everything happening in Ukraine, money laundering operation. Even Zelenskyy himself is like, America gave us $200 billion. I haven't seen $100 billion of those dollars. Where'd they go? It's all an op. That money gets, of course, put right back into the pockets of Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, lobbyists, all of these nonprofits, liberal NGOs. They signed the bill. Even Mitch McConnell, in this moment of extreme senility and lucidity, saying this is, of course, us funding America. In fact, all of this money is staying right here in America. We're paying ourselves. And what does that mean? That means Mitch McConnell's paying his friends, his lobbyists. It's not you, of course. It doesn't help you out at all. It just inflates your currency and makes a dozen eggs $7. RFK nailing this. This was back when RFK was running for president, and he was speaking very freely about what was really going on in Ukraine. Have just a quick listen, just so you can understand the totality of the entire Trump administration, unified, standing on principle on this. Let's go.
This is a war that should have never happened. It's a war the Russians tried repeatedly to settle on terms that were very, very beneficial to Ukraine and us. The major thing they wanted was for us to keep NATO out of the Ukraine. The big military contractors want to add new countries to NATO all the time. Why? Because then that country has to conform its military purchases to NATO weapon specifications, which means certain companies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing, and Lockheed, get a trapped market. In March of 2022, we committed $113 billion. Just to give you an example, we could have built a home for almost every homeless person in this country. We then committed another $24 billion since then, 2 months ago, and now President Biden's asking for another $60 billion. But the big expenses are going to come after the war, when we have to rebuild all the things that we destroyed. Mitch McConnell was asked, can we really afford to spend $113 billion to Ukraine? He said, don't worry. It's not really going to Ukraine.
It's going to American defense manufacturers.
So he just admitted it's a money laundering scheme. And who do you think owns every one of those companies? BlackRock. So Tim Scott, during the Republican debate, said, don't worry, it's not a gift to Ukraine, it's a loan. So raise your hand if you think that loan's ever getting paid back. Yeah, of course it's not. So why do they call it a loan? Because if they call it a loan, they can impose loan conditions. And what are the loan conditions that we impose on? Number one, an extreme austerity program, so that if you're poor in Ukraine, you're going to be poor forever. Number two, most important, Ukraine has to put all of its government-owned assets up for sale to multinational corporations, including all of its agricultural land, the biggest single asset in Europe. In Ukraine, there's been 1,000 years of war fought over that land. It's the richest farmland in the world. It's the breadbasket of Europe. 500,000 kids almost, Ukrainians have died to keep that land as part of Ukraine. They almost certainly didn't know about this loan condition. They've already sold 30% of it. The buyers were DuPont, Cargill, and Monsanto. Who do you think owns all of those companies? Yeah, BlackRock.
Jeez. How evil are these people? I guess it's at some level, there's a cold comfort in understanding that it's as it's ever been. All of the pieces on the chessboard die, and the kings and queens are dining together. And it was never about the black pieces or the white pieces. It was just about slaughtering everyone so that not even the 1%, like the 0.0001%, the Davos World Economic Forum could increase their portfolio by a percentage. It's always been the same. Resources, taking them over, gobbling them up, and strip mining a country. It's what they have tried to do to this country. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break it down for you because the reaction here is a perfect Rorschach blot test as to where your politics are. And we're going to start with what actually happened inside of the meeting and who kicked out Zelenskyy. Mike Waltz is the national security advisor for Donald Trump. He went on CNN to describe exactly what went down. And I think this is very important because it was Mike Waltz himself who kicked Zelensky's ass out of the White House.
What was so, I think, stunning to all of us in the Oval Office was that it was not clear Zelenskyy was going to go to negotiations at all, that he would ever be able to negotiate with Putin, and whether he shared our goal of ending this war. So what I made clear as Secretary Rubio, and I said, look, this cannot proceed, was that this was a huge missed opportunity for him and for his country. He could have left the White House on Friday on the heels of an engagement with President Macron of France, with Prime Minister Starmer of the United Kingdom, where they were talking about European boots on the ground, security guarantees for Ukraine, a positive movement towards ending this war, and having Ukraine and the United States being bound together for a generation economically. But what we made clear was that could not proceed, at least for now. And President Trump said in his announcement on X, when President Zelenskyy is ready to truly engage for peace, he's welcome back anytime.
The White House standing unified on all of this. Here's the press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, take fiery and mostly peaceful.
What happened in the Oval Office, I was there, was unfortunately President Zelenskyy came in with a mindset not wanting to negotiate peace. President Zelenskyy was also antagonistic, and frankly, he was rude. He picked a fight with the Vice President of the United States. He repeatedly interrupted President Trump. And so what President Trump did was stood strong for America, defended his Vice President, but most importantly, defended the American people who, after 3 years of funding this brutal war, are sick and tired of footing the bill. The President wants peace. It it was clear President Zelensky wasn't in the mindset to negotiate that just yet.
Well, I don't.
Have you ever heard a greater breakdown of what actually happened from a more weepy man, Lindsey Graham? This is crazy, dude. I can't believe they flipped Lindsey. Lindsey Graham's the biggest backer of Zelensky ever. I don't know if they're romantically involved. I don't know if he just likes the fact that they're both under 5 feet tall. They need to wear those funny Al Pacino shoes that make you so much tall. Do you know the ones I'm talking about? I'm sorry, not Al Pacino. Robert De Niro shoes, right? Anyway, the lifts, they both have to wear lifts together. Maybe they share lifts. I'm not sure. I don't know what they share. Lindsey Graham, though, was the strongest ally and backer of Zelensky, and now he's out, which is freaking crazy. Listen.
President Trump I talked to last night, he was upbeat about the deal. I've never been more proud of President Trump for showing the American people and the world you don't trifle with this man. He was very positive. He was very upbeat. He wanted to get a ceasefire. He wants to end the war. And Zelensky felt like he needed to bait Trump in the Oval Office. JD was awesome. This was a missed opportunity. And the question for me, for the Ukrainian people, I don't know if Zelensky can ever get you to where you want to go with the United States. Either he dramatically changes or you need to get somebody new.
Gotta get somebody new. Oh, well, that's freaking scary. When Lindsey Graham, who has never seen a coup he doesn't love, created by the CIA, says you're gonna get something new. You gotta get something new. That Zelensky failed. He did fail, dude. Man, it's been rough watching it. Well, here's Tucker, who again used to work for Tucker. Ain't nobody in the world who's got better sources than Tucker Carlson, explaining exactly where this money went and why Lindsey Graham is running away from Zelensky right now. It's obviously not because Lindsey Graham has seen the light, but because the light might burn Lindsey Graham. Let's read. Tucker Carlson, a very, very rare X post, right? Sort of like a little mini monologue. One of the most striking things about yesterday's Zelensky press conference was Lindsey Graham's reaction to it. The two are old friends, but Graham disavowed him within the hour. This was more than just transactional disloyalty. It was scapegoating. Lindsey Graham knows what's coming. Over the past 3 years, there's a tacit support of Western patrons. The Ukrainian government has committed a remarkable number of serious crimes. The Ukrainians sold huge quantities of American weapons on the international black market at 20 cents on the dollar. These weapons are now in the hands of armed groups around the world, including Hamas and the Mexican drug cartels and the forces that are controlling Syria. God knows what the Ukrainians have done with the pathogens in American biolabs in their country. Ding, 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 ding. Ooh, that's another fun topic for another time we have covered on the show, but he did mention the biolabs, and those are real, and this is where Hunter Biden got all of his money to fund biolabs in Ukraine. What pathogens were they creating? What were they making there? What's going on? We know they created COVID. Where did it all come from? Can somebody please explain this? These are all real, by the way. They have the Biden's fingerprints on them. Why are we handing an unstable third world country some of the most dangerous pathogens on Earth? It's almost like there's another op at hand. We live in dangerous times, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we need this all to end, and we need adults back in charge. Even U.S. intel agencies aren't sure where the pathogens have gone. Wow. The Ukrainians have also murdered a number of people in various countries in political assassinations and tried to murder others, including American journalists and European heads of state. This is all true, and it's going to come out at some point. Better to start blaming Zelensky now. Tucker Carlson, he knows. He freaking knows. We were sent a letter the other day, it's a couple months ago, by Jim Banks. Senator Jim Banks said, Benny, you're on a list. You're on like a Ukrainian hit list. I don't know if we have the letter handy, but Jim Banks sent us this on Senate letterhead saying that he's in possession of Ukrainian intel that says that we, ladies and gentlemen, are in the crosshairs of Ukraine. Exciting times, really. I'm glad that my taxpayer dollars went to fund that. Ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment, we'll have the communications director for Speaker Johnson on the program. The great Hogan Gidley. So to preview all of this, let's have Speaker Johnson in his total takedown of Zelenskyy this weekend, saying, I've never seen anything like Zelensky's behavior in the Oval Office. Speaker Johnson, gloves off. Let's freaking go.
I have participated in a lot of bilateral meetings in my time with heads of state and other dignitaries. There's always a certain protocol that goes along with this. I've never seen anything like President Zelenskyy's behavior there. He berated and interrupted his host, and instead of expressing gratitude for the extraordinary help that the U.S. has provided his country and effectively helped him stay alive and stay in power. So the way that went down was very disappointing. I hope and pray, frankly, that President Zelenskyy will come to his senses, come back to President Trump, express gratitude as he should, apologize for his behavior there, and accept this mineral rights deal, because that is the best way for us to get to a point of peace over there in that region, and it's in the interest of both countries.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the letter. Here it is. Production team. I don't know if my producers just keep our assassination letter at hand. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. Should we frame this, boys, and put it up in the studio? Yeah, we absolutely should. Dear Mr. Johnson, I'm writing to inform you that your name appears on a list of individual groups in the United States impeding aid to Ukraine, published by the Ukrainian NGO called Data Journalist Agency, which has worked with the U.S. State Department. And look at that! USAID. Wouldn't you know it, ladies and gentlemen? So USAID is trying to kill us. Well. Along with Ukraine. As you may be aware, Ukrainian NGOs have published similar lists where they have published personal information of those named and people trying to intimidate them. I've included a copy of the letter. Our Appropriations Committee, me and a number of other people have been named here, other creators. I appreciate your attention to this serious matter. Sincerely, Jim Banks. So speak out against Ukraine, get put on a murder list. And wow, wouldn't you know it, ladies and gentlemen, ALX, our executive producer, is on it, and we're all funding this with our tax dollars. You know who else is on this list? Donald Trump. You know who else tried to kill Trump? Ryan Ruth. You know who was working directly with the government of Ukraine? Ryan Ruth, who had a firearm, AK-47 was it? It was an AK-47, within 200 yards of Donald Trump, inside of a sniper's nest, guarded by steel plates that he had camped out at for 12 hours, and it was this close. Secret Service tried to shoot him, missed, fired 6 shots from like 10 feet away, missed him. Ryan Ruth was working directly with the government of Ukraine. This guy was trying and was within a whisker of assassinating and murdering Donald Trump. Wow. Wouldn't you know it, ladies and gentlemen? Interesting. Ladies and but it turns out that it was Zelenskyy who had all of his dreams murdered in the Oval Office by Trump. Poetic, really, if you think about it. Metaphorically, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be joined in just a moment by Hogan Gidley. Hogan Gidley is runs comms for Speaker Johnson, and probably has plenty to say on this matter. Very much America first, and also worked with President Trump administration. Has worked with both President Trump administrations. Energy. Please, ladies and gentlemen, know that we run this show on energy, and it is Blackout Coffee that energizes our show, that keeps us going and rolling. We will not stop. We will not quit. It is the black, delicious juice that literally fills our cup every single morning. Blackout Coffee pumps through our American veins because it is American coffee made by a great American company with grit, determination, and a refusal to back down. Blackout Coffee powers our show and gives us the energy to fight the commies. And hot damn, man, it takes quite a bit of fighting to do that. But now we've seen the light, and we don't want to fund the left and their communist coffee companies. We drink Blackout. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Use the code Benny for 20% off your first order. Taste the coffee that doesn't just wake you up, it fires you up. blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Let's freaking go to Hogan Gidley, ladies and gentlemen, who joins us now to talk about some of the brawling that's been happening in Washington, D.C. Hogan, what a interesting turn of events. Some people would say that the Republican Congress, like, why are you funding Ukraine? You know, maybe too much funding has gone to Ukraine. And now it seems like the freaking boom has dropped. House leadership sort of uniting with President Trump saying, yeah, this guy doesn't deserve a penny more.
Sure. First things first, Benny, thanks for having me on as always. Love the show. You're amazing for the cause, for the movement, all those things. I'm not officially with the Speaker's office, so I do not speak on behalf of the Speaker. He's one of my folks I work with, so I do offer some communications help to him. And what's been interesting to me,
promotion. We just love you, Hogan.
That's right.
We'll
Thank you.
Give you promotions. Okay, we love you.
That's right.
But appreciate the clarification.
But having worked in the White House for 4 years for Donald Trump in the first term, doing a lot of stuff, a lot of work on the campaign in 2020 as the National Press Secretary, and then again in this last time doing some help with them too, you kind of see this country taking a shift, really, understanding not just what's happening here and the problems domestically, but also internationally. And I was on a show recently where they said something like, when did the Republican Party become the party of isolationists? I said, we're not. We're the party of receipts. We want to know where that money's going, why it's going there, and how it's being used. And for too long, we have seen money to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions over the last several years, just flowing out to things where we can't hold anybody accountable. We don't know what's happening with it. We've seen the shrimp on the treadmill videos for years. But now you have the amplification mechanism of Elon Musk and Donald Trump with the bully pulpit to expose this. People are like, hold on a second, let's have this conversation. And before we get to the Oval Office thing, I have to point out, you talked about USAID. All right, in the South, we have a saying, Benny, when you throw a rock over the fence, it's the hit dog that yelps. If you notice, Democrats really didn't say much about Trump. They were kind of confused until he touched USAID. And we realized that was a progressive slush fund to fund all their crazy radical woke ideologies, not just here at home, but abroad. And I liken it to, remember when, you of all people know this, when we found out that we were being shadow banned and silenced and censored by Facebook and all the other social media platforms. And every time there was a glitch in the algorithm, every time, there was a mistake made, it always cut against conservative voices. Remember that? If you notice this money from USAID, did any of these dollars go to a pro-Second Amendment group? Did any of them go to a pro-life group? Or how about a group that supported border security to prevent illegal aliens from coming into this country to commit murder, rape, burglaries, and assaults? No. It all went to leftist ideologies and leftist programs. So not only is the Trump administration exposing it, the two words I continue to focus on, it's not just transparency. We got to have that, and we're starting to see it. It's the accountability. Who goes to jail? Who loses their job? These are things people want to know because it keeps happening and no one gets in trouble for it. Kudos to the Trump administration for what they're doing. Man, they're moving fast, and they're doing it for the American people. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a freaking bulldozer, but I did want to establish a bit of reporting that's exclusive to our program. The shrimp on the treadmill, that treadmill and that entire operation was actually designed in order to create a treadmill the perfect size for Volodymyr Zelenskyy. And so that, I don't know if it went, it's up to you whether it went to good use or not. We actually have, I think this is a real photo. Here we go. Here it is. This is what they were protesting for outside of the USAID, Hogan. And the trip need the treadmill.
Also,
and
I don't know if this
how's
was a Freudian.
Zelenskyy going to stay in shape, dude? This is why he's always wearing a tracksuit, Hogan.
Because he's got to be on the treadmill. Of course, it makes so much sense.
Figured it out. You know what? This is called journalism. All right. This is called investigative journalism. All right. So you've been in the room. You've been in the room, Hogan, with Trump. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to put up the B-roll of Trump, like kind of bodying Zelenskyy. This, I think, is the way that Trump always behaves. And we've been backstage with Trump before. It's been very certainly don't know him as well as some people, many people that are on the show, and you. But I've seen the guy, like you see the guy operate. Like, well, the beauty of this was that, like, kind of the diplomatic gloves just sort of came off at the very end. It was a 40-minute meeting, and some of it was actually kind of nice and like jovial. It's not like Trump started by just like cracking the guy in the glass jaw, but then at the very end, it really like descended. And maybe you can speak to this moment, because what I think we were privileged to witness here was the way Trump actually really does business outside of like the media diplomatic patina where he's trying to be, he's trying to be polite. And then like what we were able to see is like real Trump getting down to business. It was glorious, man.
It was. And if you notice, JD at some point said we probably need to get people out of here to have this conversation. Trump's like, no. I want the people to see this. Listen, I have been all over the world with Donald Trump. I have seen him in meetings across the table from President Xi, with Vladimir Putin, with Abe of Japan, Bolsonaro of Brazil. I've watched him negotiate. Sometimes he needs to be tougher than others. And sometimes he uses his charm to kind of get around to what he wants. What I have noticed, though, in all these meetings, if you look at the faces of the people he's talking to from other countries, they're kind of astonished because for the first time in decades, a president of the United States is sitting across from them with America first on his mind. They don't want to be the world's piggy bank. He doesn't want to be the world's piggy bank. He doesn't want to fund all of these crazy things unless it benefits America. And if you notice the deal that was offered to Zelenskyy, after 4 years of feckless foreign policy, failed foreign policy by Joe Biden with no talk of an off-ramp, no talk of ending this bloodshed. Instead, Joe Biden literally said on the record, we're going to give money as long as it takes, which was a joke. Trump comes in and says, all right, here's a deal. But by the way, it's America first because we're going to get some money back from you guys with the drilling of the minerals, et cetera, in Ukraine. It also makes us less beholden on China. It puts business interests squarely in Ukraine, which, by the way, as Rubio pointed out, Secretary Rubio, it's a tacit acknowledgement that we're here to protect you a little bit, too, because now we have a vested interest business-wise in your country. And I cannot fathom the level of arrogance and of entitlement and lack of self-awareness that was just stunning shown by Zelenskyy in this meeting. It's very clear Trump was right. He's not ready for peace. What he wants is you to help fund him so he can keep fighting. There is no scenario in which, as Trump pointed out, Zelenskyy wins this war. It's not happening. So how do you get Russia to the table to have the conversation? And that's where it went off the rails. As you'll recall, JD says, all right, this is a good deal because we want to get everyone on the table to have this conversation. And Zelenskyy took issue with that. Why in the world would you put Russia at the table? Because we want to end it. That's why. See, Zelenskyy doesn't. He wants to keep the money flowing, to keep the fighting going. And that's, quite frankly, against what a majority of his people want, and clearly a majority of the American people want as well. And so Trump did a great job in this meeting, not just shutting it down, but pointing out to the American people, this is the kind of stuff that we've been taking for fools with for years in America, and it stops with me. I thought it was just a brilliant move by Donald Trump.
Have you ever seen any world leader bungle this hard, like fumble this hard?
No, there was a time when President Xi was across the table and we were arguing about she had a big deal with American farmers and agriculture and then just decided to balk on it for some weird reason. You would have kind of given him a little bit of credit on the global stage too. And Trump just looks at me and says, go get Abe from Japan. Abe comes in, we meet with him for 10 minutes and he buys all the stuff that China was going to. It was a big mistake by China. But here, again, read the room, man. When you've lost Lindsey Graham and you're Vladimir Zelenskyy in Ukraine, you know you had to have messed up somewhere. Now, regardless of why you lost Lindsey Graham, as I heard your reading of the Tucker tweet, and I saw the tweet too, regardless, you lost him. So that's a real big ally you had in this country that you now no longer have because of your arrogance and because of your attitude.
So there has been a fascinating oil and water moment. And I'm sure you've been watching it. Some of these people you have worked with and you've seen, and it's been this really strong unified front in favor of Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, according to all polling, has the American people at his back when it comes to Ukraine. People want this war to end, and we certainly don't want World War III. Anybody who's studied history knows exactly how bad these things can go. Yet there was a contingent of people that were on CNN and corporate media this weekend that were saying, no, it's actually Donald Trump who must apologize to Zelenskyy. This is Alexander Vindman is it CNN or MSNBC? I'm not exactly sure. It's CNN, okay. It was saying this, and I'd love to get your response, Hogan, on behalf of Donald Trump. But here's the take from the guy who set up Trump impeachment hoax number 1.
I want to know why our ally is allowed to disrespect the United States of America, the leader, the current leader of this.
JD Vance owns
let me
Zelenskyy
finish.
an apology.
President Trump owes Zelenskyy an apology for the way he was treated.
For what?
I demand it.
What?
I demand that they give.
He demands. Okay.
He demands it, Hogan.
If you're going to go ahead and say
He demands it.
things like Zelenskyy owes an apology for being attacked, I'm going to go ahead and say something outrageous. Actually, I'm going to go ahead.
Price of you say
I think
that
these
Ukraine
guys,
wants
I think
peace.
JD Vance should resign. How about that? We're just going to go throw crazy stuff into the air.
All right. What do you think, Hogan? Does Trump owe Zelenskyy an apology?
No, it's so insane. First of all, Vindman, that clown, after the first, he has a twin brother, and I used to look out of my window at the White House, and they would be taking, during all the impeachment stuff, he and his twin brother were taking pictures at the EEOB next door, like selfies. I was like, what a joke. This guy clearly is. It's funny because watching the media collectively go after Zelenskyy, go after Trump in this scenario, how obvious, how predictable was that going to be? Okay. We know they don't like Donald Trump, but the facts don't matter to them either, because this deal had clearly been done and structured to help put an end to the war. I thought that was a good thing. In addition, have you noticed them attacking Donald Trump for calling out Zelenskyy for some of his foibles? And I was talking to some reporters and they said, what do you think about Trump's language about Zelenskyy? What do you think that's wrong? And I'm like, you said that 4 years ago when Donald Trump was president. Do you not remember when we were negotiating with Zelenskyy to actually give him the Javelin missiles? And you guys said he was corrupt. You said his nation was the #1 corrupt nation in Europe. You said he was a clown. He was just a comedian. He was no good. And then all of a sudden, Joe Biden gets elected and Zelensky's Churchill? Like, relax. I'm old enough to remember when you used to run down this guy nonstop and we were trying to get a deal. And remember, when Russia first invaded, when Russia started this whole attack, it was our missiles that Donald Trump had given to Zelenskyy that prevented them from being wiped off the map in the first place. So everyone needs to calm down here on the left and quit clutching their pearls and doing all the nonsense. This was an incredibly smart move by Donald Trump, a leadership move that let people know, first of all, it's always going to be about America first. Second of all, we're going to do a good deal that helps everyone involved. But third of all, don't come into our country, on our soil, in our White House, in our quote unquote cherished Oval Office, as Donald Trump put it, and try and make demands you clearly don't have the leverage to make and expect it to go well for you. Now, Zelenskyy, as JD pointed out, Vice President Vance in this meeting, you do these parades of PR moves when you bring people to Ukraine. That's what this was for him. Now there are reports coming out that he'd been coached by a lot of Democrats to kind of, say no to this deal. Like, this is so insane because I remember too, Benny, wasn't there a time when we were trying to stop wars from happening and prevent bloodshed and all of these things? And now Democrats, they're on record already saying we're in support of and we advocate for fraud, waste, and abuse in the federal government. We love that fraud, waste, and abuse. And now they're saying also we're for wars all over the world too. We stand up for that as well because we don't want an off-ramp. Zelenskyy doesn't need an off-ramp. We don't need to bring peace. Everyone, there are plenty of people who don't like Vladimir Putin. I get it. But he's part of this war and he's going to have to come to the table if anything's going to stop. And the Democrats are against it. It just blows my mind.
Bro, because you were there, wasn't the last time? You might have even been on the call. I don't know. Because you were working comms at the White House. Mm-hmm. Wasn't the last time that Trump and Zelenskyy talked? The conversation that got him impeached?
Yes.
Trump's like, Joe Biden's is a rotten apple. He's corrupt as hell.
Yeah.
And you should investigate that, right? Which seems like a totally logical thing and clearly true. And that got him impeached. So, the bloody cheek on this guy to come in, that was the last time they talked in the White House.
The meddling of Zelenskyy into our affairs and our electoral process also, not just with the impeachment and what he did or didn't do after that phone call, which he should have obviously been better and supportive, especially since he wanted stuff from us. But let's not forget, he also went on a taxpayer-funded military C-17 aircraft with Kamala Harris and basically did a campaign stop for her in this last election as well. And you remember the speaker put out a letter and saying, we want to expel the Ukrainian ambassador, get rid of her now. This is unacceptable. We can't have these types of things. And, speaking of her, how great was the video? All the video in the White in the Oval Office was great. Did you see the video of the Ukrainian ambassador as this thing started to devolve. She puts her hands in her head and just shakes her head. She knew peace and the opportunity for it was slipping away because of her boss and his problematic behavior. So this has been a big win for the United States from a posture standpoint. But, I know Trump wants an end to that war. And as he said, hey, when he's ready to make a deal to end it, he can come back. That's fine. But I'm not going to him because this is something he clearly doesn't want.
Here's the Ukrainian ambassador to America as Zelenskyy is throwing his petulant hissy fit. And she's going, bro, we are cooked. Okay, Hogan.
That's great.
You've seen. Can you please give us an insight into Trump? If Trump uses this hand gesture towards you, are you officially cooked? Are you done?
The Sopranos.
If he does it, are you done? You're done.
It's a Peter Navarro does it too. Absolutely. This is and Trump doesn't do things by accident because usually it's the hand, right? It's this and that. And he did that in the meeting, but when he gets to this, you got some bigger problems than just $300 billion stopping from coming to your country. I've seen the picture you're showing, the memes. It's amazing. I love it so much.
Can
we? By the way, can we? Are we making an announcement on this show about your State of the Union night? Or are we not? Are we holding on to that?
We kicked off the show with it, but yes,
okay,
let's go.
Good.
You can tell them we'll be in the U.S. Capitol, and we will be broadcasting live. We'll be streaming live from the U.S. Capitol, and a huge thanks to our partners with Speaker Johnson's office for making this possible for creators and independent voices to have a say. And our audiences are big. We actually ran the numbers this weekend. We have a bigger YouTube audience month over month than MSNBC and CNN. So
unreal.
Why not, man?
What you've been able to build out, Benny, really is so amazing, and so many more voices out there now than there were even in the first administration, with bigger followings and more credibility. Because as Trump passed out those hats in the Oval Office the other day, it said Trump was right about everything. I saw one of the prototypes early on. He said, Hogan, I probably shouldn't wear it, because it's not. And he goes, but I was right about everything. I was like, yes, that's absolutely correct. You should. So I'm excited you're going to be here, and I think it's going to be some great content for you and for all your viewers, listeners, followers out there to hear from members that you have on regularly, but in the House of Representatives before the State of the Union. I think it's going to be hot, and I'm really excited about it.
Here we go. The official promotional image. There it is. Okay, the official promotional image. Took us just a second, Hogan.
Yes.
There we are. Okay, ready to freaking rock. Final, because of the work that you do with Speaker Johnson's office and your assistance with him in comms, we expecting any cash coming from the Republican House? Just real quickly here, Hogan. Expecting any more money for Ukraine?
Not to my knowledge. In fact, the speaker made it pretty clear that wasn't going to happen, that there's no appetite for it. He doesn't want to do it. And after the display we saw in the Oval Office, it looks like all of Congress is on hold, saying, no, we don't need to fund any of this nonsense. And as I said at the beginning of this, we're the party of receipts. You're going to have to show us what you're doing with it. And right now, Ukraine is not done a good job of that. And I don't see another dollar flowing over there.
There you go. Promises made, promises kept, right there.
That's right.
On screen. Image says it. Says 1,000 words. All right. Well, Hogan, a man who doesn't need a shrimp treadmill, is somebody you must follow, ladies and gentlemen. Get on over there.
By the way, I took that picture in Marine One as Trump was looking at the Statue of Liberty, and I was trying to get my phone because we were going by it. He kept going, look at this. And I was trying to get my phone. I got one picture.
Look at that.
That was it. The one picture that my phone took was that one. And I went, there you go. I showed it to him, and he goes, put it out right now. And I said, I will. No problem.
That's a beauty.
Isn't it crazy?
That's right. So there it is. Man, what an eye, buddy. Yeah. We will see Hogan tomorrow on our stream. And thank you, brother. It's fun to fight.
Anytime, man.
These days in the golden era with you.
You too, buddy.
Godspeed.
Thanks, Benny.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a spectacular spectacular senator who will be joining us in just a moment, Senator Scott. I did want to cover very quickly AOC going to prison because I want to cover this with the senator because it's like really it's really exciting. AOC apparently has been tipping off some of the criminal aliens in this country to ICE raids. Well. AOC hosted a webinar of how to avoid a ICE raid. Goodness gracious. AOC webinar teaches illegal immigrants how to avoid ICE deportation. And this is a very gutsy thing to do, I suppose, given the fact that it's illegal. And Tom Homan had something to say about this. Tom Homan said, AOC, you better watch out because we're going to come a-knocking. Let's go.
That up to DOJ. What I find disturbing is that any member of Congress wants to educate people how they evade law enforcement. You can claim you're educating those constitutional rights. Okay, you can keep that claim. What she in fact is doing is telling people don't open your door, hide in your home, don't talk to ICE. We're talking about people who are in the country illegally, committed a crime, they're a public safety threat, they've been convicted of serious crime, and they've been ordered removed by a federal judge. So it's like AOC and others don't want ICE to enforce the laws that they enacted. She's a member of Congress. Let us enforce the laws you enacted. That's what we're supposed to do.
You can't go after
her. Ladies and gentlemen, AOC has sent a letter now to ICE. AOC's letter says, I write to request clarity as to whether the Department of Justice has yielded political pressure and attempts to weaponize the agency, elected official whose speech it disagrees with, effectively saying, am I under investigation? Are you going to deport me back to Puerto Rico? I don't know. Listen, I'm not going to paraphrase here. All right. But she is saying that, here we go. Mr. Homan announced, Deputy Attorney General will open an investigation and that I will be in trouble now. It's been 14 days since Mr. Homan threatened to weaponize your agency. Am I under investigation? Let's freaking go. AOC did a interview this weekend with NPR and doubled down on helping criminal aliens avoid federal law enforcement. Here we go.
You had a recent dispute, if that's the right word, with Tom Homan, the president's Homeland Security czar, so-called. You held an online forum, a Know Your Rights forum, that he didn't like. What were you doing? What was your goal as you saw it?
My job is to educate and act as a liaison of critical information to my constituents. And I was informing all of my constituents of their constitutional protections, and in particular, their constitutional protections against illegal search and seizure in the United States.
Homan was upset, I suppose, because he felt that you were giving advice to people who were here illegally. Were you?
I was giving advice to all of my constituents. Yeah.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for you. So AOC just admitting illegality. Somebody who is impeccable before the law. The great Senator Scott of the state of Florida joins the program now to respond. Senator, so much to talk about, and I guess I just want to start with this because it certainly caught our curiosity. Should members of Congress be assisting criminals to avoid federal law enforcement? It seems fraught at best.
I think we do an oath, right? That we're supposed to uphold the Constitution, not tell people how, to evade the Constitution. So I didn't seem like that's part of my job description to tell people that here's how you don't comply with the law. So I think it sure seems like she's violating the law. And, look, we need to have equal protection and equal enforcement of the law. And if she's done something wrong, I hope Tom Homan does his job and prosecutes her to the full extent of the law.
I mean, this has been happening in the state of Florida, where you and I are both from. You were the governor of the state of Florida. This state has never looked kindly on the criminal element, and that's what makes it such a great place to live for families, actually. Right. Yeah, unlike New York, unlike the district that AOC represents.
When I left as governor 6 years ago, we were at 47-year low in our crime rate, and it's continued to go down because we have great sheriffs, great police departments. We've had great government that has continued to enforce the law. So we don't want illegal activity. Like I tell people, we're an immigration state. A lot of people have come legally from around the world to come and live in our state because they want to live there because they can get a job, get a good education, blah, blah, blah. Right. So,
start a business, right?
Yep,
start a streaming show.
Right. But no illegal immigration.
Yes.
I mean, we have none, but guess what? I don't want, I've got kids and grandkids. I don't want somebody that has committed crimes to live around them. You don't want them living around your neighborhood. So I don't know why AOC would want them to live in her district.
We're not exactly sure. We do have, Senator, an image here of AOC watching this interview right now, and she's very upset about it. She's screaming here at this empty giant gate in the middle of the desert. I don't know why she would do this, but it seems very embarrassing, and it seems like they don't really have a playbook, the Democrat Party. We have the State of the Union, or the joint address to Congress, tomorrow night. What do you expect to hear from President Trump on this issue? A criminal alien trespass is at like a historic record low. This seems like a massive win for the administration.
I think it's a massive win for the American public. He's done exactly what he said he was going to do in the campaign. He was going to secure the border. He's going to stop the illegal immigration, and he's going to deport people that are here illegally. That's exactly what he should be doing. What Tom Homan is doing is, it's something like 600,000 people that have committed crimes that are in our country illegally. Why? Who in their right mind thinks that's a good idea? We have terrorists in our country. We have people selling drugs in our country. They're trying to kill your kids and your grandkids. So what are we thinking? Why are the Democrats even thinking that that's a good idea? So I think Trump's going to talk about that. I'm sure he's going to talk about how we've got to figure out how to put America first. We want to help people, with freedom and liberty around the world, but we cannot do this by ourselves. NATO, show up, do your job. You've got to be part of this. So I think he's also going to talk about how he's going to get inflation down. As we know, it's one of the biggest issues we're still dealing with. It's going to start with balancing the budget. I know the president's committed to balancing the budget. He's going to expect Congress to do our job, balance the budget.
Yes. Are you in favor of criminal aliens to Guantanamo Bay? It's not too far off the coast of Florida.
I was stationed in Guantanamo Bay for a few weeks in refresher training in the Navy. It's really hot, and there's not much to do there, by the way. I haven't been back there in a long time. But absolutely. I mean, whether they go to Guantanamo Bay or whether they go to El Salvador, but not in our country.
Yes. I didn't know that. Senator, actually. There's a piece of trivia. I didn't know you were stationed in Guantanamo Bay. Not fun to be there.
It's hot. Yeah. We were there, I think it was in August and September. It is hot. It is. I just remember how hot it was. And there wasn't a lot to do there.
Was it as hot as the Oval Office during the meeting with Zelenskyy and Donald Trump?
I don't know. That was something. That was.
What was your takeaway, Senator?
Need to apologize. America has done so much to help Ukraine. Zelenskyy needs to apologize. The president's doing what he said he's going to do. He's going to try to bring peace, around the world. When he left, we weren't at war all over the world. Russia would never have invaded Ukraine. So Zelensky's got to apologize, and he's got to figure out how to work with President Trump to bring peace and stability. Look, we all want Russia to lose. We all want Ukraine to win. The other thing that I think happened out of that is I think Europe is going to understand they are going to have to start doing what they said. If they're going to be part of NATO, you have to actually build a military, not just rely on the U.S. military to do everything. So I think that's also what came out of that meeting.
Something that shocked us that we played earlier in the show, Senator, was one of your colleagues, Lindsey Graham, who's been the most ardent defender of Zelenskyy, turning and saying, we need new leadership in Ukraine. And this was a shock to us. There's a lot of speculation about why he would do this. Do you have anything to add? I mean, that was quite a bombshell through the media ecosystem that Lindsey Graham has turned on Zelenskyy now.
I know you'd have to ask Lindsey. I'll see him either tonight or tomorrow. I just got back up to D.C., so we'll understand what he said. But, we've got to figure out how to get peace. We've got to figure out how to make Ukraine keeps their democracy and Russia goes back and goes back to the old borders as much as we can. So if that means it has to be a new leader, that's what will have to happen. Sometimes that's what it takes in anything. Somebody's too too close to the problem and they can't change. So, but I'll talk to Lindsey about it either tonight or tomorrow.
Okay. Please, we'll be streaming live from the Speaker Johnson's office actually tomorrow. So feel free to come on the stream and tell the audience, Senator, whatever you learn. And we're happy to invite Lindsey Graham on as well. It'd be very interesting to hear directly. So when it comes to Ukrainian, the funding of the war, the White House is now signaling that they're going to cut all military aid and all funding. Do you agree with that? Is a Republican Senate and a Republican House going to approve more funding for Ukraine?
Well, the problem they've had in the past is they've, under Biden, they tried, I think a lot of Americans, especially early on, said, we're okay with helping them if Europe does its part and takes the lead, and we're not spending a whole bunch of money on humanitarian aid. So, but Europe's got to take the lead. If Europe doesn't want to take the lead, this is in their backyard. It's hard for America to continue to fund it.
Yeah, polling shows there's just zero appetite with the American people when a dozen eggs are $7 to keep sending billions 5,000 miles away from an unwinnable.
We're running $2 trillion deficits.
Yeah,
our spending is up $2 trillion from 5 years ago. If you look at the population is up 2%, and our government spending, federal government spending, is up 53%. That's why we still have the inflation we have. Inflation we've got to get this under control. The only way is balancing the budget. It's the only way to do this, to get inflation out of the way, get under control, is to balance the budget. That's what we have to do. It's Congress's responsibility to balance the budget.
So I want to talk a little bit about the Senate, because actually, we've been really pleasantly surprised. Maybe you can give us some insight as to how the Senate is operating now. But man, getting these Donald Trump nominees over the finish line has been very impressive, and doing it in historic speed. I got to say, the results are all that really matter to us. We endorsed you and your leadership run. We are still proud of that, but we're happy with the way the Republican Senate is moving now that they are out from under the yoke of Mitch McConnell's 30-year decade leadership.
Well, as you know, I ran, and thank you for your support. I ran again 2 years ago against Mitch McConnell because we knew we had to change. Then I ran this last fall, and I didn't win. But what I ran on is actually what we're doing. We've made a commitment. We're going to stay here to get these nominees done. We'll get Linda McMahon confirmed tonight at 5:30. We're committed to have an amendment process, have conversations. I'm now running the conservative group in the Senate called Steering. So on Wednesday, I'm bringing in people like Susie Wiles and Stephen Miller and Steve Witkoff to come in and talk about how do we get a coordination between the White House, the House, and the Senate. So we're heading the right direction, but we've got a lot of work left to do. I think there's something like 900 people have to be confirmed.
Wow. That many have Senate confirmations?
All the ambassadors have to be confirmed, U.S. attorneys, the judges, U.S. marshals. We've got a lot undersecretaries. So we're heading the right direction. Democrats are continuing to try to obstruct, slow things down, but we've got to stay on course. If that means we have to stay up here weekends, we've got to get these nominees done.
Yeah, good. I mean, we like seeing the fight. We were there. We were in the Senate, Senator, for the Kash Patel confirmation. We're really thrilled about it. We're just happy to see it. It doesn't matter to us if it's 51, 53, or 90-10. Get the man in the chair. Yeah,
he's still the director.
Yep, that's exactly right.
51 or 53, he gets one more vote. He's still the director.
We're thrilled about it. Okay, so Kash Patel, Pam Bondi. One final question I wanted to ask, because of the state of Florida connection, right? And I think that you were potentially governor at the time. I think that this aligns, or were at the very least potentially privy to some information on this. There was quite a bit of public brawling between Pam Bondi, Southern District of New York, the Epstein files last week, and it seems to be the great war between President Trump's appointees versus the entrenched deep state. Epstein caught a case in the state of Florida in 2008. Donald Trump was the only person to assist in the prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein here in the state of Florida. And amongst all of the other dark things, that were happening, it seems like there is still this great entrenchment to keep news and information about Jeffrey Epstein away from the American people. And the Trump administration, even with the Senate confirmation, is hitting a brick wall, it seems like. Can you shed any light for us, given the fact that you were governor of Florida, on like what that operation actually was and why it's so tough to get any information on this?
Well, that prosecution happened before I was governor. I became governor in 2011. But here's what I'll tell you what's going to happen. I would not fight against Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi does not give up. She's going to make sure whatever she committed to do, she's going to get done. The information will come out. She will get the information. Pam got elected as Attorney General, and I got elected as governor in November of 2010. So this was before our time. But I can just tell you, in her role now as U.S. Attorney General, in Kash Patel's role as FBI Director, whatever Donald Trump has committed and Pam Bondi has committed and Kash Patel commits, they will make sure it happens.
All right. Well, you know what? From your mouth to God's ears. How about that? Like, because
I believe in him.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like the most pro-life thing you could possibly do is justice for these like children and for decency and humanity. So it's one of the most Christian things you can do is to protect the children. And we shouldn't be protecting these people who are so monstrous. And it's disgusting to me that I pay taxes to a government that does allow protections like that, or maybe even facilitation of the operation. And so, yeah, I think it's a big moral question. So,
Benny, you don't get it. You know, why would you want to protect somebody that did the wrong thing? I mean, like who? I mean, give me your best pitch. You can't even come up with one.
I love having you as a guest, Senator, because you just brought us all the way back to AOC. Like we did 15 minutes here, and it's like you brought us right back to AOC. Why are you protecting criminals? It's the same thing. I don't get why the Democrat Party does this.
Right. I mean, it's like make your pitch. They don't even have a pitch, right? I mean, what's their argument? Oh yeah, I like criminals. I like criminals in my neighborhood or something. I mean, that would have to be their pitch.
I don't know, Senator. I'm not sure. Luckily, I don't have to like wander the halls with Democrats in the Senate every single day. They've proven themselves to be total frauds during these nomination processes. One of the straightest shooters in that entire chamber, Republican or Democrat, is the great Senator Rick Scott. You must follow him right here. He's got 700,000 followers on X. Got a badass photo of him with his Navy hat on. I don't think he's at Guantanamo Bay there, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But this is the great Rick Scott. You must follow.
I looked a little bit younger.
A little bit younger? Where were you flying there, Senator?
Oh, I was on a Black Hawk, but I was on a Black Hawk after a hurricane, I'm pretty sure. But down there, I was on a Navy ship. I was a operations specialist on a Navy ship. How much do you think I was making a month? $334 a month. Big bucks. As an E2, I probably was 18 or 19 years old.
Yeah. That would get you a couple cartons of eggs, actually. Yeah.
Right.
And I got 4 kids. We go through a dozen eggs every morning. So that's like 3 breakfasts for your whole month pay. That's not good.
You need to have a farm.
Not good.
You need to get your own chickens.
That's exactly right. I know somebody who raises chickens, even here in Tampa, like downtown, they have chickens. So maybe think about it, Senator. Thank you very much for representing our state with such vigor and such bravery in the Senate, and for changing that body, because it's brave men like Senator Rick Scott who actually do change the Republican Senate by forcing them to do what is right. So we care about the process, but we only really care about the result. And so
we're going to get the result.
Senator Rick Scott's got those results. God bless you, Senator. Thank you.
All right, see you, Benny. Take care. Have a good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have more exciting updates. More updates. JD Vance is trolling. We brought you the Pete Hegseth troll. And now JD Vance be trolling. He's trolling Chris Murphy. JD Vance is memeing Chris Murphy. It's amazing. It's happened live during our show. Quick, get JD Vance on the program. That's happening, by the way. That's happening. I know we did a short interview with JD Vance a couple days ago, backstage at CPAC, but that's actually happening. JD Vance is coming on the stream. I'm telling you, unfortunately, I cannot give you the exact date and time right now. JD Vance coming on the stream, baby. It's going to be awesome. You're in the right place if you want the front seat to the golden era. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Murphy is this senator who was at the White House, who was on CNN bitching about what happened at the White House with Donald Trump and Zelenskyy. And he said this like nonsensical, imbecilic statement, and J.D. Vance has just nuked him from space. So here we go. Let's play the video first. Chris Murphy, go.
It is absolutely shameful what is happening right now. The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin. Every single day, you hear from the National Security Advisor, from the President of the United States, from his entire national security team, Kremlin talking points. For the last week, the White House has been pretending as if Ukraine started this war. That's essentially saying that Poland invaded Germany at the beginning of World War II. There are still facts in this world. And the fact is this: Vladimir Putin is a brutal dictator. Russia started this war. And the entire pretext for that meeting yesterday was an attempt to rewrite history in order to sign a deal with Putin that hands Putin Ukraine. That is disastrous for U.S. national security. That means that China will be on the march. Putin may not stop. America may be at war with a nuclear power. And for what? For what? It appears as if America is trying to align itself with dictators, that Donald Trump wants us to have our closest relationships with despots all around the world, because that makes it easier for him to transition America into a kleptocratic oligarchy where Elon Musk and Donald Trump rule and steal from the American people. If we were allied with democracies, that would be harder. But if the United States' closest partner is Russia, then it makes it a lot easier for Donald Trump, Elon, and their billionaire pals to steal from the American people, to steal our data, to steal our Medicare, to steal our Medicaid in order to enrich themselves.
What the hell are you talking about, bro? What's going on? What are you even saying? It doesn't make any sense. It's insane. Here's the case, he posts. This is Chris Murphy posting. Here's the case. Trump's alignment with Putin is a plan to sell out Ukraine. And it's a bigger story. Trump sides with dictators because it legitimizes his plan for Russia-style kleptocracy to steal from America. Because that's not what Joe Biden was doing in Ukraine. That's not. We were doing it for the good reasons. We were stealing from America in a good way. Trump's stealing from America in bad way. Orange man bad. I don't know what that orange square is in his handle. I don't understand. What is that? Is that like an orange man square? I don't get it. Anyway, J.D. Vance saying, yeah! Can you zoom in here? J.D. Vance posting the Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme of Charlie being the sociopathic conspiracy theorist. It's great. Did he ratio him? He's got to ratio him. 50K? 50K likes, 2 million views. What do we got on this one?
2 million views, 50K likes.
Yeah, but click on the original tweet. Oh, yeah. Let's check on the ratio here. Oh, yeah, 18,000. Yeah, 18,000 likes. Yeah, okay. Got it. Absolute nuclear ratio. Confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, boy. Yeah, all right. So, White House be trolling. We haven't done a Salt That Lib in so long. I don't know why. There's been too much going on. And I'm sorry about that because it's been, I mean, it's like our cup runneth over. Every single day. Sometimes we have to change because news happens so quickly. Sometimes we have to change the course of the show seconds before launch. I know some people, some members of our team are literally wincing, okay, at me saying that. We have to change the direction of the show when we're live. Sometimes we do that. Literally, when we're live, we flip the entire thumbnail and everything because there's too much going on. And that's meant that we've let our Salt That Libs slip. And so we apologize about that. We love salting libs on this program. It's because libs cry. And our little Christian hearts just so want to replenish their sodium that they've lost through tears that we salt them. All right? And so we find clips of crying libs and we put salt in the comment section. And I have a giant salt shaker that was sent to us by a fan of the show. So we say thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, our Salt That Lib of the day is somebody complaining about us, actually, which is such a compliment, actually. It's such a compliment. Morning Joe has this dude on who runs Axios complaining that YouTubers and streamers get more views than they do, and that we are the ones who actually set the news trends, and that we're the ones who react and who gain kinetic audiences. And we just want to tell you again, thank you for making this the #1 fastest growing news streaming show in the world. Hearts out to the chat. Freaking love you. And we mean it. And that's why we do the Salt That Lib. Let's go.
A new report posting on Axios this morning reveals President Trump's MAGA media army is much bigger, broader, and more influential than most people realize. Joining us now, co-founder and CEO of Axios, Jim Vandehei, with more.
So, Jim, let's walk through this. A lot of people that aren't familiar with this MAGA media universe might say, conservatives and people who support Donald Trump go to Fox News. Actually, it's much, much bigger than that. Walk us through it.
Yeah, I've been struck in the last couple of months, or even when I'm talking to CEOs or people in media, how little they understand the depth and breadth of kind of the MAGA media ecosystem. It is big, it is powerful, it is organized, and it operates so much differently than your traditional media ecosystem, and that they see this as information warfare. And we might think about it as like one or two names like Don Jr. Or Charlie Kirk, but it's a massive, massive ecosystem. You see a lot of it on X. So anyone who goes to X, formerly Twitter, you see a lot of these people. But beneath it is where all the activity is. If you go to YouTube, if you listen to podcasts, if you go to Rumble, if you go to Instagram, if you go on TikTok, if you go to any place where most people in America congregate for their information and news, and I think the two end up blending together, mega stars have way more clout, way more authority than most of the household names that your viewers are used to following. And they cut across all of these platforms. So they'll have huge followings for their podcasts. You look at podcasts on any given week, and that's how a lot of people get the vast majority of their news. You look at that top 10 ranking, you'd be hard-pressed to find one liberal, and you're often going to find 5 or 6 people from the MAGA media infrastructure in there and on that list. And then that content moves to YouTube, moves across TikTok, moves across Instagram, and they have a very shared common worldview. So even if you're thinking about your program today, where the interpretation that you guys have talked about of the Zelenskyy meeting, it's a different universe if you go into MAGA. They think that Vance was a hero and a tough guy, and they think that Trump was a master of the universe, and that Zelenskyy was disrespectful in both his tone and his wardrobe. And they're all in, and that's kind of the ecosystem that sits and is kind of the surround sound for Trump.
But if you go on these little apps, Rumble, YouTube, I don't even know. What are they? What is the YouTube at? So, ScrewTube? FoobTube? I don't know. I just search it all night. Sometimes my wife catches me. It's terrible. What are these apps? These creeps. What is wrong with them? I don't get it, man. Like, why isn't it? Why aren't they rejoicing? People are getting news and information. And probably more than ever, actually, from like kinetic and authentic sources. I would argue, like, without a doubt, that's absolutely true. By the way, our show got our first Joe Rogan shout out this weekend, and we'll take it, okay? Joe Rogan was talking about our Mike Flynn interview. So Joe Rogan's watching the Mike Flynn interview. How cool is that? Freaking awesome, man. They should be celebrating that if they actually cared. If Zelenskyy cared about democracy, he'd, of course, resign in disgrace and shame. He wouldn't be canceling elections. If media man there, Jim Vandehei of Axios, if he cared about media and information, he wouldn't be upset that more people than ever are getting authentic, real, legitimate information from sources that they trust. He wouldn't be screaming and shrieking about it on Morning Joe, a show that nobody watches. Right? Like, he'd be coming on this show, in fact. And you know what, Jim? You're welcome to come on this show. We'll talk about the future of media together. Right? Let's show you what a real audience actually looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news, Volodymyr Zelenskyy has said, oh, yes, we are ready to sign a mineral agreement and the first step for security guarantee. But it's not enough. We need more than that. The ceasefire with security guarantee is dangerous for Ukraine. We've been fighting for 3 years, and Ukrainian people need to know America is on our side. Yeah, because you're toast. You're cooked without America. You come here and disrespect us and wear your greasy little tracksuit. No, man. You missed your shot. You were sitting there with the GOAT. You were sitting there with these people who you've disrespected. Can't say it enough. Zelenskyy flew on American military aircraft, used our tax dollars. This is patently illegal, and people should go to prison for this. They used our tax dollars. Who approved it? Who approved a U.S. C-17 aircraft to fly Zelenskyy into campaign with Democrats right before, on the eve of the election? Zelenskyy there, talking smack about J.D. Vance, signing bombs with the governor of Pennsylvania and the now former senator from Pennsylvania, Bob Casey, who got his ass handed to him. I mean, it would suck if it wasn't on camera. Lucky for us, these people are idiots, and they actually put it all on camera. There's Bob Casey, and here's Zelenskyy right behind him. And there's Shapiro, absolute scumbag. His political days are numbered as well in Pennsylvania, a state that is going to be the Florida of the Rust Belt. Mark my words. So yeah, sucks to suck, dude. Maybe better luck next time, but I don't actually mean it, right? I think this guy's garbage, and I really, really don't like him. And I think that he's as bad as Putin. And I argue that publicly. Okay, I think that he's also a dictator, right? And I don't like America funding these kind of people. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, careful where your dollars are spent. Careful who you are funding. Ensure that you are locked in with Patriot Mobile on your cell phone carrier. We talk about it a lot. Patriot Mobile will be flying with us to Washington, D.C. in just a hot minute here. We're going to be broadcasting using our devices, right? Making sure that we are locked in with the most dependable cell phone coverage that also supports the First and Second Amendment. Also supports our free speech. And of course, that's very important when you're texting people and calling people. Patriot Mobile is available on all 3 major networks, ladies and gentlemen. Get the best cell phone service in America today. Right now, go to patriotmobile.com/Benny, call 972-PATRIOT, and get a free month of service with promo code Benny. Switch to Patriot Mobile today and defend freedom with every single call or text you make. patriotmobile.com/Benny, call 972-PATRIOT. All right. Just a little bit of good news. Just a little bit of good news. Just a little bit. Just one final one to punch through Donald Trump effect. Migrant encounters at the southern border hit lowest ever mark. Lowest ever? Lowest ever? Down 94% from last February. I expect Donald Trump to talk a lot about this. I expect some very interesting reactions inside of the U.S. Inside of the U.S. Capitol tomorrow. Again, we will be live. Please join us tomorrow starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Trump-mageddon in the U.S. Capitol. We will be streaming live and have a ton of friends with us. And then we'll be doing something immigration-related. Get ready. It's going to be very exciting on Wednesday, okay? But we're thrilled about it. Social media post by Chief of the U.S. Border Patrol, Michael B.W. Banks, shows February apprehensions a record low for the agency. Banks' post reveals the startling impact of Trump presidency on illegal immigration in the United States 42 days since assuming office. February provided combined efforts show that the apprehensions of U.S. illegal criminal aliens is the lowest ever recorded in February. Ever. Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to bring you good news every single day. Sometimes we don't have it. Some days we've had dark shows, right? Some days you got to talk about Epstein, right? And government cover-ups and taxpayer funds going to these monsters. Some days you got to talk about Donald Trump getting a mugshot, right? Or getting found guilty on criminal charges. We always bring you good news, though. Okay, it's a promise of this show because we always do our verse of the day. Verse of the day from Isaiah 41. Let's go Old Testament today. Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Strengthen you and uphold you. Don't be dismayed and fear not. The subtext of all this, which I find particularly interesting, is there's like a promise of fear and there's a promise of weakness in life. There's a promise that things will be hard. And this is something that I always endeavor to teach my children. Life will be hard. This is not the primrose path of gumdrop smiles and chocolate rivers. It's a tough, brutal world out there, actually. And you're going to be knocked right on your ass, and you're going to not get back up unless you have faith in God, unless you have faith in something that is more powerful and stronger than you. And then you can keep going, right? Then you can keep going. And Donald Trump was knocked down, right? A bullet pierces his ear. It literally gets hit in the head with a bullet. The ear's part of the head, so it's a headshot. Gets hit in the head with a bullet. Gets back up. Everybody who's close to Trump says there was something spiritual happened in that moment, right? I will never pretend to know the mind of God, but I'll tell you this. Boy, this verse applies in that moment. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Okay? That's what we're fighting for, ladies and gentlemen. We're fighting for this, the opportunity to worship freely, to raise our children freely, and to give them a country, right, that's functional and that's worth something when it's our time to hand it all over, okay? So that's what we fight for on this program. Thank you for fighting with us. It's your boy, Benny. See ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, your hosts, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi.
Welcome to the last and final Oscars in U.S. history. Y'all must be very proud of yourself. I bet you didn't expect us to be hosting. Now, if you will all take your seats while the bailiff locks the doors, we would like to read from our list. You're all under arrest.
I am skilled in the arts of war and military tactics, sire.
Are you? And tell me, what advice would you offer on the present situation?
Doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
Truth gon' be faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade with the warrior's heart. This man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade with the warrior's heart. This man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.